y'all, and welcome to this week's new book releases. This is June the 19th. We only have 2 weeks left in June. Oh my goodness. And then we are into my birthday month. I'm so excited. But for this week though, we have an interesting bunch. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Morgan. Thank you for clicking. And I hope that you enjoy this video and we'll come back for more of the ones, at least for showing the new book releases, because this is always very interesting, finding out what's coming out every week. Seeing what has changed from what was supposed to come out several months ago that said today, but you know, they're not coming out anymore. But I digress. I just hope you enjoy it. We'll subscribe if you do. Thumbs up it so everybody can find out new books coming out. And there will be timestamps. This week we're starting out with Suspense. And the first one's going to be The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I always loved the covers. I always love the covers. Even if I'm never possibly going to read their books, I like the covers. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Oh God. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murder shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assumed 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killings, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside of Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It's now 1983, and the home health aide, Kit McDeary, arrives at a decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. "I want to tell you everything." "It wasn't me," Lenora said, "but she's the only one not dead." As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading up to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure come to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. The next one is more of a thrillery suspense, or the next two. That's 0 Days by Ruth Ware. It says, hired by companies to break into buildings and hack security systems, Jack and her husband Gabe are the best penetration specialists in the business. But after a routine assignment goes horribly wrong, Jack arrives home to find her husband dead. To add to her horror, the police are closing in on their suspect, her. Suddenly on the run and quickly running out of options, Jack must decide who she can trust as she circles closer and closer to the real killer in this unputdownable, heart-pounding mystery from an author whose propulsive prose keeps readers on the hook and refuses to let anyone off until it's been revealed. It Girl wasn't awesome, but you know. Then we have the next suspense thriller, The Spare Room by Andrea Bratz. Kelly's new life in Philadelphia has turned into a nightmare. She's friendless and jobless, and the lockdown has her trapped in a tiny apartment with the man she gave up everything for, who's just called off their wedding. The only bright spot is her newly rekindled friendship with her childhood friend Sabrina, now a glamorous best-selling author with a handsome, high-powered husband. When Sabrina and Nathan offer Kelly an escape hatch, volunteering the spare room of their remote Virginia mansion, she jumps at the chance to run away from her old life. There, Kelly secretly finds herself falling for both her enchanting hosts, until one night a wild, unexpected threesome leads the couple to open their marriage for her. At first, Kelly loves being part of this risque new world. But when she discovers the last woman they invited into their marriage is missing, she starts to wonder if they could be dangerous and if she might be next. Well, okay then. That took a turn. Now we will move into the more fiction ones. They're fiction also slash something else for both of them, which the first one is fiction with a Western vibey feel. I almost wanted to say romance too, but it's not exactly. I don't think it has enough aspects to be romance. I don't know. The heart wants what it wants. Saddle up, ride out, and claim it. It's the spring of 1877, and 16-year-old Bridget is already disillusioned when she arrives penniless in Dodge City with only her wits to keep her alive. Thanks to the allure of her bright red hair and country girl beauty, she's recruited to work at the Buffalo Queen, the only brothel in town run by women. Bridget takes the brothel life, appreciating the good food, good pay, and good friendships she forms with her fellow sporting women? It's in quotation marks. As the winter approaches, Bridget learns just how fleeting stability can be. With the arrival of out-of-towners, some ominous and downright menacing, others more alluring but potentially dangerous in their own ways, including a legendary female gunslinger who steals Bridget's heart. Tensions in Dodge City run high. When the Buffalo Queen's peace and stability are threatened, Bridget must decide what she owes to the people she loves and what it looks like to claim her own destiny. And then the other fiction is a fiction/romance called 7 Exes by Lucy Vine. This one is a rom-com, second chance type thing. 7 Exes, 7 Missed Chances. Who is the one who got away? Esther is nearing 30 with a great job and a flat she shares with her 2 best friends, Bibby and Louise. But her life is missing that special someone. Tired of being single and sick of bad date after bad date, she thinks she's found the answer to her romance problem in an old women's magazine. According to the magazine's dating column, there are 7 archetypes of a woman will date before finding Mr. Right. It all seems silly at first until Esther realizes she has exactly 7 exes that match the profiles. The first love, the work mistake, the overlap, the friend with benefits, the mischance, the bastard, and the serious one. Is it so hard to believe that perhaps one of them is the one? Deciding she must have left her true love in the reject pile, Esther contacts each of her old boyfriends, but finding her soulmate isn't as simple as she hoped it would be. Madness, mayhem, laughs, and tears ensue as she valiantly works her way through her past love life and faces up to her previous mistakes. It's an odyssey of the heart that will teach her a lot about herself, and she just might lead to the man of her dreams. No, it just might lead to the man of her dreams. I added in an extra word there. And then we have our actual romance of the week, and it's The Misses by E.L. James. This one is supposed to be a follow-up, I think, / alternate point of view to The Mister that came out a few years ago, as this is following, I guess, the misses to the story of the Mister. It says, Alyssa regards her husband through heavy-lidded eyes. You'll have to fight for him. Her mother's words from their call this morning ring through her head. And fight she will, using every available weapon she has. She loves him. She knows this. She wants him. And she wants him to want her. What happens once the glass slipper fits? I don't know if I should say more because I don't know if it's the same timeline as the other one. Moving on, though, into YA fantasy, we have And Break the Pretty Kings by Liana Jeong. A crown princess, a monster the gods fear, a destiny no one can outrun. This is inspired by Korean history and myths. Mireille was meant to save her queendom, but the ceremony before her coronation ends in terror and death, unlocking a strange new power within her and foretelling the return of a monster even the gods fear. Amid the chaos, Mireille's beloved older brother is taken, threatening the peninsula's already tenuous truce. Desperate to save her brother and defeat this ancient enemy before the queendom is beset by war, Mireille sets out on a journey with an unlikely group of companions while her unpredictable magic gives her terrifying visions of a future she must stop at any cost. This one was very interesting. The magic system is interesting. It has a lot of Avatar vibes because they can do stuff with the elements, but then this power that she gets after the ceremony, during the ceremony as it's going awry, yeah, it is very interesting. It is a debut novel though, so what I'm hoping from this first one in the series to the next one, things will improve with her writing abilities and stuff, because it wasn't bad, but we do need some growth and improvement there. And our next YA is a suspense, and this is Where Echoes Die by Courtney Gould. Beck Bershing has been left adrift since the death of her mother, a brilliant but troubled investigative reporter. She can't stop herself from slipping into memories of happier days, longing for a time when things were more normal. So when a mysterious letter in her mother's handwriting arrives in the mail that reads, "Come and find me," pointing to the small town at the center of her last investigation, Beck hopes that it may hold the answers. But when Beck and her sister Riley arrive in Bacaraval, Arizona, it's clear that something's off. There are no cars, no cemeteries, no churches. The town is a mix of dilapidated military structures and new shiny buildings, all overseen by a gleaming treatment center high on the plateau. No one seems to remember when they got there, and when Beck digs deeper into the town's enigmatic leader and his daughter Avery, she begins to suspect that they know more than they're letting on. As Beck and her sister search for answers about their mother, she and Avery are increasingly drawn together, and their unexpected connection brings up emotions Beck has fought to keep buried. Beck is desperate to hold on to the way things used to be, but when she starts losing herself in back Ravel and its connection to her mother, she risks losing her way back out. I don't know how that's supposed to play out. It does say it's a supernatural thriller, so more connections make more sense there. And now into the adult fantasy. This first one is a fantasy dark romance. It's called Of Deathless Shadows by K.M. Morinova. Tara. Fernista has destroyed everything, leaving only ashes and the new shadows that teem beneath our skin. My lovely assassin claims I'm his shadow mate and has agreed to help me find my brother and ex-boyfriend, if they're still alive. Finn. After my village is destroyed, I'm trapped in an enemy camp surrounded by other survivors. Blood and magic are twins here, and there's a dark itch coming from deep within me. If I ever want to see Tara again, I must become invincible. Edgar. I wake up in a lavish estate with my memories stolen. All I know is that my parents and sister are gone. A sinister boy haunts me, pushing me to uncover the truth of this strange place. Although separated, our hearts are tied. The shadows running through our veins call to each other, demanding answers. If we're ever to reunite, we must uncover the truth of Fernista. Everything leads back to Alcros Academy. So it's supposed to be an adult fantasy, but then it's got academy, so maybe new adult if we have a school setting. And our last book of the week is The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. This is the sequel to Her Majesty's Royal Coven that came out last year, in which you are following a group of failure. Do you see from her perspective? Maybe. 4 childhood best friends who grow up, and of course, we're all part of Her Majesty's Royal Coven in Britain at one point in time, but now as adults they have kind of gone their separate ways. One of them is leading the coven, one of them has branched off to start her own coven, and another 2 are kind of just leading more normal lives. One of them hiding the fact that she is a witch from her family, and the other is just mostly using her abilities to be a veterinarian, which is cool. I really liked her perspective the most, which is why I'm not sure about this book. But in this alternate version of time, Her Majesty's Royal Coven was formed under Queen Victoria to stop persecuting witches. Witches now work for the government, and they're their own agency there. They had, this central coven, which all the witches in England are a part of, until Leonie does form her own coven that she, wants to be more inclusive and have other magical rites and histories presented besides just, the mainstream form of history of magic and stuff. But you do see from all 4 of these childhood best friends' perspectives as life has changed them, after the war has changed them. One just did not make smart decisions. Not make smart decisions at all. Mostly, I'm not sure about reading the sequel though, because of how the first book ended, and where one of the characters was there at the end of the book. I'm so upset by that I don't know if I want to read the second one, because the second one is going to introduce a new character that you've heard about throughout the first book though. She was there in spirit, but now she'll be in the second book. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, how she got here, and that. There are other characters though that I would like to see how it's going with them. It's not the Cursed Child. What was it called? I don't remember. I would like to see how her story is going. I would like to see about the other kid that is promising vengeance and retribution and stuff. But I just don't know. I'm just so mad about that one character. Because she did not deserve that. Okay, and now I'm giving spoilers. And I probably didn't describe Her Majesty's Royal Coven great, but everybody talked about that last year. So many people talked about it. It was not a bad book. It was not a bad book. It's just the ending. And how 2 of the characters, how gung-ho, stuck in their ways. They were like the same, just on different ends of the spectrum. That's all I have for you this week, but there are of course so many others coming out. If you have another one that you're excited coming out this week that you want people to know about, leave it in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like. And if you want to see more of my content, I have our anticipated releases for the 3rd quarter of the year. Yeah, words. Mostly this is like July, because August and September, there's a lot that I'm excited about, but I haven't read the first one in the series. And so I kind of just went over it quickly, and maybe I'll do a part 2, which I normally don't do for these, but maybe I'll do a part 2 to go more in depth with these, especially as more release dates are finalized. Yeah, because there's a lot of release dates that changed, that I was expecting September and that didn't happen. Rambling, sorry, but maybe you'll check out the third quarter anticipated releases and stick around for future new book releases every week, because those are the more, yes, it's coming out this week, so you can go pick it up. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.